Welcome back to the Coaching Hive podcast. I am thrilled to be here with you today as we dig into the truth about social media. We have all been there. As an entrepreneur, you know the importance of social media. You know the influence that it can have and the reach that it can create for you. But the truth is that you don't really like social media. You know that it impacts your mood and just feels like a waste of time sometimes, or maybe all the time. You have so many things to get done that spending time on social media just doesn't feel as valuable when the return on your time feels so little. So what do you do? Is it really worth the sacrifice to spend time on social media? We are going to talk about this and more in today's episode. So if you are ready, grab your pen and your notebook and let's jump in. I'm Dr. Maura, and this is the Coaching Hive podcast. Having an online presence has gotten complicated these days, hasn't it? I will be the first to admit that when I forgot my phone at home one day last week, I was secretly happy. Despite the fact that I really love technology, I love the online space, I don't love the rules and the roles that social media plays in the world these days. But it isn't all bad. For example, 3 days a week, I get up early and co-work alongside several other female entrepreneurs. We rock that 90-minute time block and crush out our goals. Without the online world, this wouldn't be possible. Twice a month, I get together with women from around the world to mastermind in our businesses. This also wouldn't be possible. But I think the real question of today's episode isn't the value of the online world, but of social media in particular. Social media is a double-edged sword. We have talked all month about how to be more effective with social media, what tools there are to help you with your social media. We've talked about courses that you can take to learn about how to be effective on social media, but it still remains that social media is a double-edged sword. It is designed to become addictive and create that craving so that it grabs our early morning attention, our midday attention, and our last waking moments before bed attention. But the good side is that it allows for connections that may not be possible otherwise. We can create a wider circle of connections, acquaintances, support systems, and even business possibilities. Social media can also open our eyes to new possibilities, encourage us to step outside our comfort zone. Gosh, if anyone's ever done a reel, you probably have stepped outside your comfort zone. But it also gives us a chance to learn new skills. You can find new connections, gain new clients, expand your business, and grow faster than you can using other methods. But the fact is, it truly is a double-edged sword. So let's talk a little bit about kind of some of the bad side of social media. Social media, as I already mentioned, is designed ingeniously. It is addictive. It can be a time suck, a waste of resources, and a deflating tool. But here's the thing. The way it's created, our brains crave more and more and more, just like any other addiction. Social media can create challenges that go undetected for quite some time. You can start to compare yourself and your business to what you see on social media and find that you just don't measure up. You see the seemingly successful entrepreneurs and wonder what you are doing wrong. In a word, social media can derail you and your mindset. Okay, that was more than one word about how social media can be kind of a bad or a derailing kind of thing. So I said in a word, it can derail you and your mindset. I know. So let's just use the word derail. Social media can derail. But the question is, can you grow your business without social media these days? This month, we have really been focused on how to effectively use social media in your business as an asset. Gosh, we've spent the last 3 weeks or so talking about just that factor. We have talked about tools to make it easier. We've talked about consistency and commitment in your social profiles, pages, and interactions. But I get asked time and again if social media presence is mandatory. And I want to keep this short and sweet today. The answer is no, it is not mandatory. Okay, that's not the end of the podcast. The answer is no, social media is not mandatory, but there is a huge caveat to that statement, and here it is. You have to be willing to network like crazy to build your business. Because you're no longer creating and fostering connections online, you absolutely must create those opportunities in person. If you aren't willing to attend networking events, talk about your business every chance you can get, and meet new people all the time, especially when you're getting started, then yes, social media is mandatory. Social media is not a substitute for networking and relationship building, but it does help to facilitate and amplify relationship building when social media is done right. It gives you another way to connect and then reconnect. So that person you met in person, you can now reconnect with online between those in-person opportunities. And the beauty of social media connections and reconnecting is that it can be done at any time of the day or month, unlike in-person networking that often requires specified events and opportunities. Does that make you kind of wonder, okay, I really don't like networking? So you start asking yourself, and maybe you start asking other people, can my business grow without networking? Truly, the question is about how you would like to network with fellow entrepreneurs and potential clients. Do you want to rely solely on social media to make connections? Do you want to rely solely on in-person networking to foster relationships? You can't grow your business without creating connections. You have to network. Now, if the idea of spending lots of time doing in-person networking makes you cringe when you look at your calendar, knowing that it's going to be a really tight fit or it's going to feel draining, then the answer to whether you can skip social media or not is no, you need to do it. The beauty of social media is that you can do social media in small bursts of time. You can do it from your living room couch wearing your PJs and sipping tea, and you can schedule some of the interactions to happen so that you can take a day off. So we come back to the original question. Do you need social media? Probably. The majority of business owners really do benefit from having at least a minimal social media presence. After all, when you meet someone in real life, the natural question is, how can we connect after this event or after this conversation? And then they say, are you on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter? I'd love to follow you. So you need to be there at least a little bit. I promised you a short episode this week, which means you need an action item, right? As you think about this concept of social media, the necessity of it, the fact that it's truly a double-edged sword, it can create mindset challenges, it can create distortions and addictions, but it can also help grow your business. How do we proceed from here? As you think about the concept, whether you're already kind of accepting the fact that social media is a necessary part of your business, or you are genuinely considering how to avoid it altogether, this week's action item is going to be the same, regardless of where you fall on that continuum. I want you to take action this week by creating 2 new connections through networking. This can be online networking or in-person networking. The key is to consistently commit to making new connections each week. Not every connection is going to be a future client. So you don't have to be out there looking for a connection who is going to purchase from you next week. No. The key is to make a connection, learn something from that interaction. And even if they're not ever going to be a client, maybe they'll refer someone to you in the future. And you get some good practice talking about your business. So get out there, connect. Because the question of today's episode isn't really about social media. It's about your preference for creating connections. And the heart and soul of that is connections. Create those connections. Now, like I said, short episode this week. Wanted to get you out and connecting with the world. So let's go ahead and wrap up our discussion of social media tools, platforms, schedulers, and more. Today is all about what you will actually do with social media in your business. Is it something that you'd like to maximize or minimize or put somewhere in between? Social media is a tool for creating connections and building your circle. This can be done in person and through traditional networking, but you will have a wider reach if you can create at least a little bit of an online presence. Consider that today. Consider that this week as you look at your social media and your online presence to decide what path you'd like to take. That is all I have for you today, but I trust that our conversation has provided value as you continue to build your business. I'd love to hear from you and know if you are in camp social media, camp in-person networking, or camp somewhere in between. I look forward to seeing you back here next week for another episode of the Coaching Hive podcast, where a focus on mentoring and community removes the overwhelm of building your successful and profitable business and adds in a dose of momentum. Until next time, have a healthy, safe, and happy week.